Welcome to the People of Animal Health podcast. The host of our podcast is Stacy Purcell. Stacy is the leading executive recruiter for the animal health industry and the veterinary profession. She's the founder of Therio Partners and the Vet Recruiter. Stacy has placed more professionals in key positions within the animal health industry and the veterinary profession than any executive search professional. Along the way, Stacy has built relationships with some outstanding people who are doing incredible things to make a difference. The People of Animal Health podcast features industry leaders and trailblazers who have made a significant impact or are making an impact in the animal industry or the veterinary profession. Stacy chats with them to learn more about their lives, their careers, and the unique and interesting things that they have done to contribute to the animal health industry or veterinary profession. She's here to share their stories with you. Now here's the host of our podcast, Stacy Purcell.
Welcome to the People of Animal Health podcast. On today's show, we are welcoming Dr. Dennis Horter. Dr. Dennis Horter completed his undergraduate studies at South Dakota State University and received his DVM at Iowa State University while also acquiring a master's degree in veterinary microbiology. He was in small animal medicine, practicing both GP and ER in the Minneapolis metro area. His passion for veterinary medicine covers many areas of interest, including anesthesia, infectious disease, pain management, immunology, microbiology, preventative medicine, and surgery. Dr. Horter received his board certification from the American Board of Veterinary Practitioners in canine and feline medicine. He's a certified veterinary pain practitioner as recognized by the International Veterinary Academy of Pain Management and is a boarded diplomat of the American College of Veterinary Preventative Medicine. Dennis has served in a variety of industry and operational roles, leading multiple general practice, specialty, and emergency hospitals across the United States. Dennis currently serves as the Chief Operating Officer at CityVet, where he is focused on helping veterinarians own and start their own hospitals through the CityVet De Novo platform. So welcome, Dennis. We're so excited to have you, and how are you today?
Hello, Stacy. Thank you for the opportunity to join today. I'm humbled by the invitation, and it's a real pleasure to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, well, we're so glad that you're here, Dennis, and I know that you've experienced tremendous success throughout your career, but I would love to start at the very bottom and beginning of your career. What was your life like growing up, and where did you grow up?
Thanks, Stacy. I grew up on a cattle ranch in South Dakota, and I was one of those fortunate people that knew I wanted to be a veterinarian since I was about knee high. But I grew up on a cattle ranch. We had cattle, pigs, horses, and grew up on a small town at the end of a gravel road that nobody came by, and so that was where I really got my first taste of being able to get the touch and feel of animal health, and kind of got the bug from there.
Well, you told us a little bit about when you first figured out what you wanted to do professionally. You said you were knee high when you decided that you wanted to become a veterinarian, and we find that that's the case with many veterinarians. Many of them decide early on in life that that's what they want to do professionally. So I'd love to hear the story of your early career in veterinary medicine. How did you get started?
Yeah. No, I, started, like I said, my interest in it was from early on, and, how it's changed. How my vision of it has changed. Doc Snyder was our veterinarian that came out, and he worked with us and our cattle and pigs. And, one of the things that I always knew is that when he came to the farm, he was there to save the day. And, and when he drove onto the farm, it was just a relief to be able to have him there. And I always attributed being a veterinarian as being that person that was kind of had the answers and had the fix for things to be able to do. And so always looked up to Dr. Schneider and looked up to veterinarians as a whole, and really aspired to really do that. And I early on, I always had this knack of trying to figure out how things work and trying to fix things. And I was fascinated by infectious disease, and that kind of carried me through and into undergrad. And when I went to undergrad, I had an opportunity to work on do some research in immunology, work with vaccines and microbials. I was able to develop some diagnostic assays around PRRS virus in pigs. I was doing flow cytometry work and looking at BVD vaccines and BVD virus infections in cattle, and developing monoclonal antibodies. alongside of my undergraduate studies. And so I was fortunate to get into vet school at Iowa State University. And when I went to Iowa State, I had built some connections with my work at South Dakota State, and was able to concurrently enroll in grad school at the same time as vet school, which I always joke with people, don't do that if you like sleep, but because doing either of those are pretty busy, but doing them together leads to a lot of sleepless nights. But it was really enjoyable. I really enjoyed the research aspect, and I continued working on different diagnostics, diagnostic assays, persistence of PRRS virus, published a couple papers, and was able to continue to further my education in infectious disease and immunology and vaccinology as well. So through vet school, I've always been somebody that wants to learn broadly across a lot of different areas. And as I was kind of progressing through my early education and early part of the career, I was, constantly, had a foot in production animal medicine, and I have a great love, still have a great love for production animal medicine, food animal medicine. But as I was going through and kind of broadening my horizons, small animal medicine was it was really just kind of the beginning of the human-animal bond, our understanding of the human-animal bond. And the individual animal medicine component of things, was really intriguing to me when I've been working on population medicine and large groups of animals in the past. And so, when I got to focusing more on small animal medicine and the individual animal part, having all of that background from research and diagnostics it really helped me in being a great clinician, a great diagnostician when it came to being able to help in small animal. And more so than just helping to heal the animal, to make the animals better. It was really an opportunity to kind of help enhance the human animal bond. And when I look back when I was a wee little kid, it was really that aspect too that Doc Snyder instilled in me, was that ability to enhance that human animal bond that we had. So when I graduated from vet school, I was looking at different opportunities in swine practices and mixed animal practices and small animal practice. And I ended up going into small animal medicine, kind of diving all in, and practiced in both GP and ER for a number of years, and really enjoyed the aspect of small animal practice. So it was very fulfilling, very rewarding. As mentioned, I focused a lot in medicine and surgery and anesthesia, and a lot of different interests along the way. And it was really enjoyable to be able to continue to kind of on that development, on that learning journey. And even today, I continue to learn and learn more as we go.
Yeah, I love that what you said about the learning journey, because I find that's really what it's about, right? And just continuous growth and development as we go on in life and in our career. So, you told us about how you got started in veterinary medicine, and you were mentioning working in a veterinary clinic and small animal medicine. And I'm curious, how did you go from working in a veterinary clinic as a veterinarian, to the increasing responsibility, and then even in leadership roles, going into industry and leadership roles? So, tell us about how you made those transitions.
Yeah, no, my transitions, are interesting, and I think it does tell a story of that kind of continued learning. And so in practice, I was always working to advance my medicine and to be a better clinician, to be a better diagnostician. And I always joked, if I go back to vet school and do it all over again, I'd be a really good vet. One of my ways of going back to vet school and doing it all over again was, working through ABVP certification and being able to, systematically go through over a number of years to be able to, really make myself better and improve on that. Along the way, also, I had a strong interest in anesthesia and pain management. Relieving and alleviating pain in animals is, a real privilege that we have as veterinarians. And it was also right on the cusp of, the recognition of pain and the better ability for us as veterinarians to be able to treat pain. And so I had a great interest in being able to do it better through better anesthetic techniques, better local anesthetic techniques, use of different medications that were becoming available for us to be able to use at the time. And so, along the way, I've also found a large group of like-minded individuals, Tammy Grubb, Mark Raffi, David Martin, Mark Epstein, Mike Petty, and the list goes on. There's a lot of great people that were kind of like-minded in those early days. And we actually had worked together to, help kind of, lift up the International Veterinary Academy of Pain Management. And so I was fortunate to be able to play a small role in being able to bring that organization to light. And we worked to develop a credentialing program that, practitioners and other veterinary professionals, veterinary technicians could go through to be able to enhance and be able to be credentialed in that as well. And so a fun fact, I was actually the first certified veterinary pain practitioner that came out of that program. And I always will use that as a little bit of a rub, because I actually just got my papers in like 3 days before Mark and Mike did, before they received their certified veterinary pain practitioner certification as well. But I was the only for a short period of time, but I can still claim that I was the first to be able to do that. So a little bit of a fun fact to be able to work on there. And it was through working with the International Veterinary Academy of Pain Management, and I really got to first interact with a lot of people in industry positions. So the IVAPM was a very vast and diverse group of from veterinary technicians to veterinarians to industry leaders, industry research, academicians, academic veterinarians. So there was a large group, a cross-functional group of people that were really helping to bring that up. And it was my first real experience and exposure to all of the interconnectedness and all the things that we could do together. And along that lines, I'd always looked at, what I could do as a veterinarian for patients that I was able to see, for animals that came into the hospital I was at, and our veterinarians could be able to take care of. And I always had this want to be able to help others. I've always considered myself a teacher, and I love to teach, and I love to be able to help people be successful. And through some different lectures and some wet labs that I was doing kind of in my spare time, being able to help show people, ways to be able to do things better, more effectively, more efficiently, and with better medicine for their patients was really rewarding. And so it was through those, interactions and opportunities, and kind of also my, continuous kind of want to be able to contribute more to the veterinary profession. There was an opportunity that came up. It was Pfizer Animal Health at the time to be able to be in their technical services team. And so I was initially attracted to the role because it was, it was surrounding myself with a lot of other experts, a lot of really high caliber veterinarians in the industry, and to be able to surround myself around, the knowledge and to be able to help on that. And so I applied and was able to take that position. And, I was initially drawn because of the talented professionals as veterinarians. But what I quickly learned was that, there's a lot of other really fantastic professionals in other areas that are just as passionate and good at their craft as what I was. But it was in areas of finance and business and strategy, marketing and research and development and production of different things. And so I was able to learn a lot from a lot of other talented individuals. And along the way too, I'd spent a long time, helping or working in my career to be able to improve myself medically and technically and knowledge-wise to be able to be a better veterinarian. But also, I was also coming to a point where there's an old adage that people never, care how much you know, but they really do know how much you care. And through that, it's how do I be a better communicator? How do I be a better leader? How can I develop others? I'd always had a natural knack for being able to develop others, but it wasn't something I'd actually concentrated on as a skill to be able to look at that. And so it was through the exposure of this, and so there were some really great opportunities I had through Pfizer Animal Health and Zoetis to be able to develop myself as a leader that, I kind of jumped head first into trying to work on me and make myself a better leader and be a better developer of people. And along the way, how could I create high performing teams? Things that I kind of come across on accident doing in practice or on my own, had worked out. But there were a lot of lessons that I learned along the way too that, kind of really helped to be able to, solidify that. So by being able to take advantage of that and grow in that role, I became a manager, and then I was the director of veterinary professional services at Zoetis, where I got to lead a real cross-functional team and, really interact with a lot of great people, great colleagues, and lead a really talented team through a lot of different changes that we had at the time. So as we in my role, the more I elevated in that role, it was more about helping my team and helping the people that I supported. It was about how could I develop them, how could I make them more successful, and then also was becoming more operational in nature. So my role became more about operationally oriented versus more of the technical or the medical content. And so it was really a great opportunity to be able to be in a spot where I could apply a lot of learnings to developing the team and to be able to work operationally. And so, the other component that I was witnessing at the time and watching was that there was a large degree of consolidation that was really starting to occur. So, starting off, it was just a few of the larger groups that, were, kind of, working in this area and working in this space. But it was starting to see just a real exponential movement towards, acquisitions and consolidations and some buying groups, some groups of management groups that were getting together at the time. And so, sitting where I was, and watching kind of where things were, I was also, kind of really looking at this from the profession view and saying, gosh, I've had all this great opportunity to be able to do these things. How can I continue to contribute? How can I continue to remain relevant? And how can I continue to kind of expand, supporting the profession I love so much? And, with kind of everything coming together, I had lunch with a friend of mine who's a criticalist, and we were chatting about things, and she said, what, you'd be really good at running specialty and emergency hospitals. And she kind of put that nugget in my brain, and I started thinking about that. And I was like, what, I probably would. And I had a conversation that led to a conversation, and I had an opportunity to be able to join Blue Pearl. Be able to run specialty and emergency hospitals with Blue Pearl. And so, with it was in a time where there was a high degree of growth. There's a high degree of acquisitions that we were doing at the time, and so to be able to go into that, I've always been the type of person where I really don't want to stand outside the car and influence which direction it goes. I kind of want to jump in and take the wheel. And I was blazing a little bit of new territory, being a veterinarian in an operations role, and that wasn't something that everybody is always very fond of, because usually the skills that make us really great as veterinarians don't necessarily translate over to some of the other skills that are good in other roles. So it was, so I'm really thankful to Blue Pearl for taking a chance on me. And I think we had a really good success in being able to lead emergency and specialty hospitals through the time that I was there. So and then from there, I had an opportunity to be the chief operating officer at Encore Vet Group, which was mostly an acquisitions group for general practice, specialty emergency. And was able to join there during a time of massive growth and expansion, and to be able to help to shape the team and to be able to help form the strategy to be able to help them. And of course, today I'm at CityVet. So.
Yeah, and some of the things that you said there, one word I heard you say is interconnectedness. And that there is so much interconnectedness within this industry, and you were talking about that with one conversation leading to another conversation, and that's how you landed at Blue Pearl. That's not the direction that you were necessarily thinking about going in your career at the time, but through this conversation, this person talked about this opportunity, and you were open to that, and that's really how it happens with so many people in our industry. They're in this role and things are going well, and they're not thinking about this completely other type of role in another organization until their eyes are opened, and that you do have the transferable skills to move from this position to that position. So I loved hearing the story of how you got from here to there to there, and and you also have developed people as leaders. And so I'm curious, what would you say to other veterinarians who are starting out, who are interested in leadership roles and increasing responsibility? How can they move into roles of increased responsibility? What kind of advice would you give to them?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Stacy. And other veterinarians who are looking for leadership roles and increased responsibilities, it's out there. The opportunities are abundant, and I think they're more abundant today than they ever have been. And a few pieces of advice I always share for anybody looking to move into leadership or having an increased responsibility is, first and foremost, you lead from wherever you are. A leader is not conferred by a title. It's conferred by how you help support people, how you help grow people. Number two, veterinary medicine is a people business. It's a people business that delivers veterinary medicine. It's not a veterinary business. So, very important to know and understand that, in this industry that, we talk a lot about veterinary medicine. My heart and my core is in veterinary medicine, but it's really around people, and being able to grow people and develop people and support people and lead and manage people. So, I think in any veterinarian who's ever asked about, moving into those roles, thinking about like the amount of work and effort that they put into veterinary school and developing their skills as a clinician and a veterinarian, think about putting some of that effort and energy towards being a great leader. And that was a real aha moment I always share with people in my career, that when I started putting that same degree and focus of being a better leader, as much as what I was putting into being a great clinician, the changes that I was able to see and grow through were immense to be able to do that. And I think lead from where you are, be a better leader, develop others, and gain different experiences. There's a lot of different experiences. There's a lot of different opportunities that are out there. If you'd have told the 8-year-old boy that grew up on a cattle ranch in South Dakota that he'd be a chief operating officer of a large veterinary group called City Vet out of Dallas, Texas today, I would have never dreamed that I would be where I am. And so I think taking those steps and taking those chances to step into roles that maybe I weren't traditional roles that I do. I think I've brought a lot to those, and I think I've got a lot to be able to give, being a veterinarian and having skill set to be able to develop in them as well.
Yeah, and I like what you said about not being outside of the car, but getting in the car and leading, and then what you said about you don't have to have the title of director, or you don't have to have that title, but you can lead from where you are. And so we find that people that get those increasing levels of responsibility are people that were not necessarily given the title, but they find a way in their role to be the best they can. And you said it's a people business, so doing everything that they can to help the people that they're serving, and those people that just they do lead on their own without, being given the title, then you gain that next level of responsibility because you put yourself out there, you took that risk, and somebody saw you and said, okay, this person's a leader, let's give them the next role. It's not necessarily the other way around where you get the title first and then you're called to lead. You have to lead from where you are. So I really like that. You've had so much success, but did you ever feel like there was a point in time where you felt like I'm really starting to gain traction in my career? Was there ever any point in time when you felt that way?
Yeah, I joke with people that I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. So I'll let you know when I get there, though. So and growing up's a trap. So I'm just going to keep learning and growing on that. But no, I've been fortunate to be able to say that there's a lot of places where I've had been able to gain traction in different aspects and different roles throughout my career. And I really think one of the pivotal points, there's a lot of points, but one of the pivotal points was really when I took that same degree and focus into developing my soft skills. One of the when I started at Pfizer Animal Health, we were working with Colorado State University on a program called Frank Communications, and it was kind of a newer program. Jane Shaw had been working to develop it out there, and we went out there as a team to be able to learn and work through that. And the aspect of being able to apply, kind of from my science, my science and research background, apply that to communications, and thinking about soft skills in a way that you could have real research around them, and you could have real evidence around them, and and then take that and translate that into real points to be able to develop. It connected the two worlds for me, and that was really kind of the pivotal point in my leadership journey as well. And it was very reinvigorating for me, as a veterinarian as well, to be able to take those things and apply them. And a lot of things in my career I always go back to pets and people, taking care of patients, taking care of people. And in terms of being able to bring some of these things, it really opened up a journey of development for me that I didn't realize was out there, and didn't realize just how much it could help for along the way. So that's probably one of the biggest pivotal points that I would say in my career where I caught the most traction.
Yeah, in successful people along the way, they're going to have times where they feel like they're experiencing success, and then they're going to have some low points. Walk us through some of the highest highs and maybe the lowest low up to this point in your career.
Yeah, it's that's a great question, Stacy, and I think that's very there are a lot of highs, and there are a lot of lows, and I would probably say maybe the one thing that probably hits both of those was leading veterinary hospitals and helping support veterinary hospitals through COVID. So I was supporting and operating specialty emergency hospitals during when that day in March came in 2020. And I always joke with people that COVID is just grad school coming back to haunt me, because PRRS virus is a family of coronaviruses, and it was coming back to be able to get me. But there was a lot of uncertainty through that, and there was a lot of stress, and especially in the early days, and as things progressed, being able to see what was happening early on, and kind of being able to do that. There's a medical and a scientific and a research aspect of knowing coronaviruses and understanding their behavior and doing that. There's a human aspect and a people aspect of being able to do that. And really in veterinary medicine was always about, like, how can we take care of the people that take care of the pets, and how do we we built this profession over 100 years of taking care of people and pets, and very quickly we realized we were going to have to figure out a way to take care of the pets without the people, in order to be able to do some of those things. And so early on, we did some things. I always, one of my mantras is always, fail first and fail fast. So we worked on things to be able to try to find different ways to be able to do this, all the time through leading with through a tremendous amount of uncertainty. There was a tremendous amount of uncertainty and challenging things that occurred during those early days that we didn't know what this was going to look like. We didn't know how this was going to go, for things. But then very quickly, there was even uncertainty about were people still going to like what was the degree that we were going to be able to take care of the people that were in our hospitals, and we would be able to make that happen. So one great example of an exceptional work of a team, we put together a real small team to be able to go out, and I remember we were on this call and talking about we're going to take care of people, how we're going to take care of pets without the people. And we were coming up with, we were brainstorming ideas, and I said we need to come up with some sort of Chili's car side to go mantra for vet med that we can roll out and emulate really quickly. And this is a Friday, and go try it this weekend, and on Monday we're going to come back, we're going to figure out what worked and didn't work. And that was kind of where Curbside had had kind of come up from that team that was working to be able to develop and implement that. And so it was some of the low aspects of it was just the being able to having to deal with the amount of challenges that were going on, and then in a very whipsaw type fashion, then all of a sudden the degree of stress we were under from being able to handle the sheer volume and amount of patients that came in. So, through COVID, it reaffirmed a lot of what we already knew, which is people really have a bond that they share with their pets that is really important. And, when everything else was going on, regardless of what was happening, people still wanted to take care of their pets, and they still wanted that care for them. And so, part of the high of knowing and understanding what a valuable thing is that we deliver as a profession, but also part of a low is how do we help support the people that were on the front lines of being able to do this. And so, there's a lot of things that we did, and a lot of things that we learned from, and we had made it through along the way. But I would say that would be one of the challenge, one of the highs and lows, both, I think, of what I would experience on that. I'm very proud of what we did with what we had at the time. And sure, in hindsight, would love to go back and have a mulligan, and knowing what we know now, to be able to think through and work through some of the issues and the challenges that were happening. But when I look back and reflect back, really pleased with that we did it through the lens of really taking care of the people that take care of the pets.
Yeah, there were so many challenges during that time period, but then we saw so much innovation come out as a result too, because people had to adapt to those circumstances. So love seeing the innovation come out of those challenging circumstances at that time. What has been the most surprising thing to you, Dennis, throughout your career so far in veterinary medicine?
Oh gosh, the most surprising thing this week or this career?
Throughout your whole career.
I think that's a great question, Stacey. I think what I think surprises me over and over again is the number of challenges that exist in veterinary medicine, but also the tenacity and the resilience as a whole of the veterinary profession. I think it's a group of people that care incredibly about what they do, or we're passionate about what we do, and it's really something that to be able to see every day, those things that happen, and those special moments that create. I think probably most surprising to me is just the degree that level of passion that occurs. Is still not just alive, but it's alive and well. From a public facing perspective, veterinary medicine is a really well respected profession, and it still continues to be. And so that is, it's surprising and refreshing that, through all of the things that have happened over my career, and the things that will continue to happen, that, it still remains such a, challenging but rewarding career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how have you seen the veterinary profession change over the years?
A lot of different ways. I think, one, the spectrum of medicine. I think the span of medicine that has really changed, and that there's a high demand for higher level care, for newer medications, better ways of treating things, more specialized treatment. At the same time, there's still a need for basic type things too. And I would say that is even one of the challenges that we see that the veterinary profession is trying to adapt to, is that there's a large spectrum of care, and in human medicine it kind of goes in narrow spectrums and evolves, and in veterinary medicine there's still a wide range of things for everybody that want all the bells and whistles, all of the diagnostics, all of the treatments, no matter what, to people that are wanting just enough. to be able to do things. And there's not one that's good or bad. It's just it's what's right for that patient. It's what's right for that condition. It's what's right for that. And I think that's one of the things that I've really seen is that that spectrum of medicine is really stretched over the years, and it hasn't just moved, but it's really stretched. And so one of the challenges also that to be able to practice and be able to address that really broad spectrum of that. I think the other piece that I've seen is, just the consolidation in veterinary medicine. The consolidation of, veterinarians, and I think that veterinarians not owning hospitals, really that has been a significant shift that I've seen change over the years. And so, as owners have sold veterinary hospitals, there's a real change that's happening in, kind of the tone and the feel of what's happening when you don't have an owner inside of a hospital. There is a different feel. There is a different difference that happens on that piece of it. So, that's what, in terms of the change in that, looking at the degree and the amount of stress, I think that goes on. There can be stress, and there's challenges and a lot of long days that our veterinarians put in, but also there's a lot of reward, but and then also just the demand for services. It's incredible to see the continued growing demand for veterinary care that we experience. So yeah, that's just a few of the things I've seen over the years.
Which brings me to my next question as we're looking at the future. What does your crystal ball say about the future of the veterinary profession?
The future of the veterinary profession. I think if I was to summarize it in one sentence, I'd say it's filled with wonderful opportunities and rather complex challenges. So I think we've got some again, all those things about there's a high degree of care. There's a high degree of demand. There's a high want to be able to do this profession. I think there's also things along the way. The cost of education for veterinarians is high. The cost of care from a client perspective. I think the wellness and the well-being of the people in our profession, making sure that we're structuring things and doing things that help to support that. And then I also look at it from a crystal ball perspective and say, how can I help veterinarians now find, I've been blessed to be able to love this career and have a lot of passion to be able to do that. How can I share? How can I ignite that light in others? And how can I help people through that as well? So I think those are things that are important. I think the other thing about the future of veterinary medicine is looking at some of the evolution, right? So like we've certainly stretched, and we've certainly grown, but looking at what are some evolutionary steps that are going to happen about in the future here. And I think I was able to witness some evolutionary things that have happened just in thinking about the how we went from where we were to now our awareness of pain management in animals, and being able to kind of look back and say looking at what we did and where it is now, to see what's happened and how that's really grown. But I think also like some of the evolutionary components, I think there's a real need right now for additional help in veterinary medicine. And so there's a lot that's a lot of talk and a lot of passion on both sides of the issue of having mid-level practitioners and mid-level practitioner program. But when you look at every other profession and outside of veterinary medicine, they all have some sort of mid-level practitioner. And I hear people get really passionate on both sides of being able to to talk about that. But I think that's going to be an area that's going to expand, and I think that's an area of opportunity in the profession that we would probably need to look a little more closely at, and to embrace a little bit more. And some of the the cons that I hear around mid-level practitioner is that it might change or challenge some of the other things. And whenever I've looked into, worked on controversial topics in the past, I usually try to look for the and, not the or. So I think there's an opportunity for mid-level practitioner and for helping veterinarians and for helping other veterinary technicians and professionals as well too. And so, I think we're hitting a point where if we don't kind of jump in and put our hand on the wheel as a profession, somebody else may. So I would rather help to drive that and steer that as well.
Yeah, some very good points there. Well, I'd love for you to share with our listeners about the kinds of projects that you're up to today, and then I'd also like to know what a typical day is like for you these days.
Yeah, so I've got, so you can imagine I got a lot of projects that I'm working on, that I'm doing. One of the things I'm, most interested in now, I have a real strong passion for is I'm working on our new graduate mentorship and training program at CityVet, and it's new graduates coming out of veterinary school. The veterinary school is really great at teaching medicine. But new veterinarians need help becoming doctors, and so I'm really trying to develop a program that not just CityVet is proud of, but the profession can be proud of, to be able to help to provide the support, to provide the mentorship, to provide some of the training. And it's really focused around kind of a three-legged stool around mentorship, developmental and functional training, as well as medical training, to be able to help new graduates come out and be the best that they can be, and well supported and well mentored. I'm also, working on leadership development for our owner veterinarians at CityVet. One of the most important important driving components in terms of employee satisfaction, reduced employee turnover, satisfaction with work, all of the things, really centers around how well your leadership is, how well your leaders are at the place that you work. And so, being able to help give and guide the tools to be able to help them become the best leaders that they can be. And also, I'm also working on, projects, continuing on kind of putting ownership back in the hands of veterinarians. So it's kind of funny and ironic after, kind of looking at my career. I went through periods of times where, I was, assisting in mergers and acquisitions and, consolidation in the industry. And actually I'm not kind of at a place now where I'm working on putting ownership back in the hands of veterinarians and, coming up with models to be able to help veterinarians become owners and be able to own a piece of their own practice for their own success, as well as their ability to be able to kind of grow their own little piece of the world and their team.
Well, it looks like,
go
ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, those are such important things. I like the three-legged stool that you were talking about, with the mentorship, the development, and the medical training. And it goes back to our, point that we talked about earlier about just, continuing to grow and develop. So those sound like great opportunities, for growth and development within your organization. I'm curious about some of the other, daily habits, that you've allowed. What are a few of your daily habits that you believe have allowed you to achieve success throughout your career?
Yeah, I wake up pretty early. I used to wake up like 4:35 in the morning. I sleep in now till about 5:30 or 6 in the morning, but try to wake up early. I drink water. So I usually keep a bottle of water or a glass of water, because what I find is I run hard, I go hard, and I forget to hydrate, and all of a sudden I'll hit a brick wall at the end of the day. But I wake up, I try to drink at least 8 to 12 ounces of water to be able to kind of start off the day at least a little bit ahead of the curve. I exercise on a daily basis. Sometimes that's early in the morning, sometimes it's late at night, but I always feel better, about myself and about things that when I get a run in. I love to run. I love to mountain bike. I love a lot of outdoor sports. Even in wintertime, I have a fat bike with these big tires that I can go out and ride on snow with. So it's a great way to be able to get exercise, get fresh air, and kind of do something to move the body a little bit. So the other thing I typically do is I as far as habits go, I try to stick to emails like I do for my meals. I try to have a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner with a small snack in between, and I try to handle my emails the same way. So that's a habit that I try to maintain on the daily. Because I've found it's really easy to get sucked into to emails in my role, and not spend as much time on some of the other things that I need to on there. And then I usually try to find a point in every day for reflection or meditation. So being able to reflect on, being able to have time to think, I found is really important from a creativity perspective, as well as just from a problem solving perspective. And some of the best answers and solutions have come not when I'm working hard on thinking about something, but when I'm actually slowing down and letting things kind of come to me a little bit as well. So those are a few things that I try to do as far as my daily habits.
We have that in common. I drink water too. That's the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I drink a glass of water, and I often will put lemon in my water. I'm not a big coffee drinker. I know a lot of people are, but and I especially cannot drink coffee in the morning. But I get up first thing and drink a full glass of water, and I try to stay hydrated throughout the day as well. I think that's important. And you mentioned email. That's a struggle for so many people, including myself. I like the system that you've come up with on thinking of it, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the snack. That's I like that idea. Well, I'm curious, Dennis, is there a mentor that has made a tremendous impact on your career? And if so, who is that?
Oh, I have a tribe of mentors, maybe a community of mentors at this point, and it'd be hard to pick just one. I've been real fortunate to work with and for some great people and have mentors without. From Doc Schneider, who is our veterinarian starting off, who really just believed in me, to Chuck Schwanis, who I worked for in private practice, who really demonstrated how to be a real collaborative and servant leader. Mike McFarland, Christine Jenkins are both a couple that really helped me in terms of being, helping understand like the power of a vision and strategy and being a good leader, to be able to do. And I'd say Mitch Moses would be another that was a fantastic mentor for me that he really helped me take my development from a leadership perspective to another level. So I still stay in regular contact with a lot of them on a regular basis.
So my next question is a two-part question. So what advice would you give the younger version of yourself, and then what message or principle do you wish you could teach everyone?
Oh, to my younger self, I would say never stop learning, never stop growing, and don't box yourself in. Take a chance. So, and what could I teach everyone? I would say, if I could instill the power of kind of autonomy and that leadership principle of you can lead from wherever you are. You have a lot more power and a lot more autonomy and a lot more ownership over whatever that is, than you think. So there's I read a lot of books, just in terms of hobbies and things like that. My wife always jokes when we go to vacations, she's reading fiction or stories. I'm usually reading leadership development or things to be able to help develop myself. And there's a book called Extreme Ownership, and it talks about kind of how you can really own a lot more than you think you can, and being able to kind of take that same principle and philosophy, especially in veterinary medicine, that there's a lot more that you own and control over your day, over things. And then also there's some things that you can't control, and that's okay. But once you decide to name that, being able to understand that that's something that's going to happen regardless of what I do, I think that would be the thing that I'd love to teach everyone.
I love that. I'm not familiar with that book. I'm going to have to put on my Amazon card. Extreme Ownership. That sounds like a great book. Well, Dennis, you've got the mic. So what is one thing that you want to share with the listeners of the People of Animal Health podcast before you drop the mic today?
So the one thing, no, thank you for the opportunity here today. It was really great to come on. Like I said, humbled and honored to be able to spend this time with you today. And I think from the listeners for the People of Animal Health podcast, thank you for listening. And thank you for allowing me to share my story a little bit here today.
Well, thank you for being here, Dennis. It was such an honor to have you, and so glad you could be with us today.
Thank you.